Welcome back, everybody. And as promised, I got my good buddy, BDM extraordinaire, and basically everything property management and investing, Jonathan Cook. Jonathan, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me, Pete. I am so excited to be a part.
So you actually just had a change. As we're recording this, you just actually had a change. So just tell us real quick about where you're at right now. Where was the change that just happened?
Yeah, so I mean, I love my friend Todd. I was with Todd for a little over a year, but I had
Todd
Orside, our good buddy. I got an opportunity from Maya Madden with Rev Up to come and join her team and be her executive consultant. So Rev Up is a startup company. We help property management companies grow, get their portfolios larger, and really kind of structure that process out so that they can handle the door growth that they experience and make it like a repeatable process. It's pretty neat. It's actually really exciting to be a part of that team, especially at the level that I've joined in as. So Maya gave me a call and she was like, Jonathan, look, I know that you're pretty happy where you are, but this is a chance to be back in home in Birmingham, where I'm from, and to be a part of something bigger. It is industry wide. It is changing how we as property managers see the industry. Would you like to be a part of that? And how am I going to say no to that, Pete?
Yeah. Yeah. And look, you spent most of your career helping investors and building property management firms. So we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of what it's going to take to grow a property management business and what you've learned.
Sure.
But before that question's answered, I want to ask you, because we're near the beginning of 2023. So what do you think 2023 is going to be like for the property management industry?
Oh, man, that is such a good question. To understand what we're about to experience, I think a lot of us are kind of leaning back on our experience from 2008, 2009, and the kind of the years after that. And I think it's going to be similar in many, many ways, but the foreclosures, the economic destruction that happened in 08, I don't think we're going to see anything like that. But the technologies that we've introduced into this space will allow really savvy investors and property managers to kind of take the opportunities that are going to be presented with the foreclosures and with the reductions of price, the more opportunity that there is to invest in the markets. We're going to see that grow, of course. I mean, interest rates being high make that harder for the everyday investor to go out and buy a second, third, fourth, fifth property. But the bigger guys, the people that can pay cash for, some of these properties, they're going to go out and snatch them up, and they're going to need property management. I think we're going to see an influx of new property managers hitting the market, hitting the industry with 50, 60, 100 doors. They're going to pop in because they've got investors that are buying again. And some of these people are younger. Some of these people are just kind of new to the space, and some of them are going to do great. Some of them are going to adopt the technology and the systems that we've all seen. I mean, a lot of our friends, you, for instance, that make property management companies be able to spread their wings. One person now can do the work of three people with a lot of the vendor technologies that are in the space. So we're going to see these people that are new to the industry come in, and they're going to do really well if they adopt the right attitudes, which is, well, okay, what is my talent? My talent might be in leasing. Okay, cool. Handle leasing, do the leasing, but there's got to be admin. There's got to be, maintenance. There's got to be biz dev. All of those things can be sourced, right? At this point, every aspect of property management can kind of be sourced depending on what your skill set is. And we're going to start seeing property management companies built around technology solutions to still accomplish the same tasks, right? I mean, does that
do you
seem to track with you?
Yeah, I know. Look, efficiency, technology, and virtual team is what I've been preaching for 10 years.
Yeah.
good times and bad times. Now, a couple of things I want to touch on here. So you've mentioned foreclosure. Do you foresee foreclosures rising next
Oh, for
year?
sure. Yeah, I do.
Sure.
I mean,
Okay.
it's not going to be, I don't even come close to think that it's going to be like '08. It's not. The type of lending that was happening in '06
Yeah.
created that.
Right.
We're not going to see the same types of things, but just because the economy is getting harder, inflation is getting higher, people, I mean, the average American consumer doesn't have as much, money as they did. I mean, 2 or 3 years ago, there are going to be some foreclosures. It's not going to be nearly what it was, but we're going to start seeing more than we saw the last 2 or 3 years because inventory is going to sit.
Now, one of the things that I've seen happen just recently is a lot of these iBuyers with these algorithms on they're going to buy a house and then turn around and wholesale and flip it or whatever. They're not buying anymore.
Of
Do you
course
think
not.
that's going to affect the market in any way?
Yeah. Well, so what we're seeing, and it's like it's a shock to a lot of people's systems, especially that got into the industry in the last 5 or 6 years. They've never experienced properties sitting on the market for more than a month or two. I
Right.
mean, 5 years ago, the average days on market was still right around 30, maybe 35 for everything from sales to rent to whatever. And you run to it now, something sits for 45 days, 60 days. People lose their minds because what do you mean it's been on the market for 2 days? That's still technically a seller's market. I mean, 3 months worth of inventory is still considered a
That's a
seller's
neutral
market.
market. Three
Yeah.
months is neutral. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
these people are freaking out over 60 days. Come on. But people don't know how to handle it. People have lost that skill. And so it's affecting a lot of people.
Do you foresee institutionals? You're kind of in bed with some institutionals. Are they
Yep.
still planning on buying? Because they do. I mean, a lot of them buy cash, but a lot of them don't, right? A lot of them
Yep.
are borrowing funds.
Mhm.
So with interest rates going up, do you foresee them still buying what they claim they were going to buy, in 2022 and what they claim they're going to buy in 2023? Or do you think there'll be a drop off there?
I think there's going to be a drop off because they're finding other avenues to disperse that money instead of buying existing properties. They can go in and build and have a nearly same return. I mean, if you can do a build to rent model and get a 12% return, why not do it? Do you know how much space of just open space there is in the Southeast? I mean, it's in
You could also
Texas,
put the
for
money
Pete's
in
sake.
bonds and make almost as much
Oh my
money
God. Exactly.
as bond prices as bond
Sure.
rates increase. So tell me about the mom and pop investors. Most of the people listening
Yeah.
here deal with mom and pop
Mhm.
investors. With rates going up, do you foresee the mom and pop investor getting squeezed out as there's more cash buyers, institutionals are still buying potentially, or do you think that the sellers will finally become aware that they cannot sell their property for the same price, and even though rates are up, I'll get the money on the front end, meaning I'll get it off the sale of the property.
So I think mom and
I'm not asking
pop,
personally because I'm an investor and I'm trying to see if I need to buy houses next year.
you do need to buy houses next year, Pete. This is the way that I look at it. I just recently, last week, I interviewed a local real estate investor that owns about 15 properties, and this is in the Birmingham metro. And I happened to ask her over the course of about an hour and a half worth of interview where she self-assessed herself in terms of real estate investment expertise in a 1 to 10 scale. This is a mom and pop investor, and her response for a self-assessment was an 8. And I said, okay, you have 15 properties. A 10 would be like, Warren Buffett, and you think you're an 8. And she said, yes. Now, then I asked her what her annual income was per property, and she could not tell me.
Mm.
Now, that seems hilarious to us because we're in this industry. The reality is most of us that deal with most mom and pops realistically fit in that range to where they think they're much more educated than they are. We know that the rates are going to affect them. Most of them aren't spending their days reading through, real estate articles and keeping themselves up to date on the latest interest rate changes and what's happening with, Blackstone and, how are the iBuyers are working and what does Zillow think about this? They're uninformed. They're just uninformed. They don't spend the time in it that we do. So I don't think their buying natures and their selling natures are going to be much swayed. Like they might not sell as often, and so property managers are going to have more opportunity to operate with them because we'll be able to rent the properties out for them as opposed to, selling for them. So we'll see some of that, but I don't think the actual mom and pop investor is going to have a major shift like we have seen in the past. I don't think it's going to be major. It'll be slight, it'll be more of a veer than like a hard 90-degree turn on what their strategies are. They're going to slowly be like, okay, well, maybe I can't buy the same $500,000 property. Maybe let's drop it down to a $300,000 property. Maybe let's drop it down to $250,000 property. They're going to change what they're looking for because they're not going to find the returns that they need. And so it just changes
So
what they're
you think
doing.
there's actually more potential for property managers because there's
Yes.
not as much income that these
Yeah.
people that these self investors or these these mom and pop investors can get squeeze out of the property because maybe they bought a little bit wrong. So they're going to lean on property managers, people who are experts to maybe help them find the next properties
Oh, for
or
sure.
to manage the property more efficiently to squeeze more revenue out of that property.
Absolutely, I do. I think there's enough information now. I mean, what is a real estate investment cycle in terms of years? 15 years, probably,
That's I mean,
roughly.
yeah, coastlines, maybe 20 if you're not in the
Okay.
coastlines. Yeah.
So think about the kind of information you could have gathered 15 years ago. 15 years ago, you didn't have YouTube. You didn't have,
Yeah.
podcasts like this. You didn't have this kind of information. And so the new investment cycle that we're kind of hitting on now, I mean, the people that currently are mom and pop investors, there's more information, but they also recognize in most cases that like, okay, I can sort through all this. I could read through these websites. Maybe
Or just hire an expert.
I can hire an expert. That typically because they're going to be positioned in terms of their income and their economic situation that it's going to make a lot more sense for them to just go and hire somebody that knows this inside and out. That's a much safer bet for them than, oh, I'll just go buy this house that I found on Zillow because there's estimates and I can estimate these numbers. They've heard too many horror stories. It's always anecdotal for them. So it's much safer to go and find an expert. And I don't just mean someone that is a professional. I mean an expert. And that's what we're going to see in the property management industry. Those of us that really get what we're doing and those of us that can go out and evangelize our our information and our expertise, those are the ones that you're going to start seeing making major rises. People that you might not even know of today, 5 or 6 years from now, that they're going to be big players.
So over the last year or two, it's been, like you said, very easy to sell a house, right? Like there's been bidding wars, right? And you even now you're saying it's 30, 60 days. It's a neutral market, but we know where this is going. We know that it's going to become a buyer's market at some point. Do you believe if you owned a property management firm, would you be creating marketing strategies around those reluctant landlords?
Yeah.
Or do you like not worry about them? You just only want to work with investors, or do you believe that there's a lot of opportunity for reluctant landlords?
So there's a ton of opportunity. The reality of a sales process, right? When we look at growing a property management firm, you can key into, well, my niche is investors. Great. Work with your investors. But simultaneously, if you're not
Especially if you have
facilitating,
real estate, right? Especially if you do
yeah,
realty.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're not facilitating some form of marketing, some continuing education pieces, a drip campaign, an SDR outreach program, something that is,
SDR?
like an outbound appointment setter, calling
Got it.
numbing
Okay. Setting appointment type.
yeah, some sort of program like that.
He's
that
he's using big fancy acronyms,
I
people. I can't keep up
apologize.
with him.
I apologize. If you are missing out on at least getting in front of these smaller, not investors. I mean, your accidental landlords. If you're missing out on at least an outreach program to them, when the market shifts and investment stops, you are going to be choked off on your growth potential because we all have churn. Everybody has churn. So you've got to continue a level of growth just to stay even. If you're
And
trying to
because of
grow
the amount of
further,
accidental landlords, that's what
yeah,
you'd said that you're gonna see a lot more new PMs come into business. This is
yeah,
kind of a direct result of that, correct?
absolutely.
Right?
That's
Agent
exactly
can't
it.
sell house, agent
Yeah.
can't lease, so agent leases house, and then agent ended up getting into management whether they want to or not, right?
That's how we all got into this, right?
Yeah.
That's so many story. That's so many people's story that I know. It's unreal, but that's exactly it. It's, I had this house listed for 6 months, and then they said, "Well, what if we just put a renter in there?" Okay, I can figure out how to do that. Bing, bang, boom. I'm a property manager now. I've got 50 doors, 100 doors, 200 doors. That's what's going to happen. I mean, it's silly to not recognize that it's a pattern. I mean, nothing new is under the sun, Pete. We see the same stuff happen over and over. So
Yeah, it's true.
you just got to prepare for it.
All right, so here's something that's kind of newer though.
Yeah.
Airbnb.
Yeah.
Airbnb, they there's rumors out there, and I don't know how true they are because I don't have my finger on the Airbnb pulse, but the rumor is that there's more there's more supply than demand for the first time. And there's a lot of people that bought a lot of properties that they cannot no longer Airbnb, but they bought them so wrong that they can't long-term lease them. Do you think this will have any kind of impact for property managers in 2023?
Yes. That's not a full answer. Yes is correct. Of
All right.
course, it's
Well,
going to
moving on. No kidding.
I think trends happen. People run into things that are like, "Ooh, this is a great idea," and as long as the cash flow is coming in, it seems great. But these investments, because they get a fad behind them, they start creating their own downfall because, oh, well, you can Airbnb this for $300 a night. So that's,
Yeah,
whatever
you're
that
gonna
is.
make 400% more
Yeah, you're
on
gonna
your
make
money every month
oh
versus
yeah.
long-term
So
leasing.
yeah, let's do that. But then you start inflating the price for it. So then you go, well, actually, instead of it being worth
And then you
$300,000,
overpay for the property because of it.
exactly. So then it cycles and it cycles and then it stops working. And it comes back down to education. Airbnb works. It does. As long as you can legally Airbnb your property, it is a good investment. But you should not plan your investment based on Airbnb lifestyle. That's really hard to do because it's so short term. There is no $100,000 investment that you can plan to make your return over a handful of weekends, or you shouldn't. You shouldn't plan.
Just curious, now that you're on the consulting side of
Yep.
things, when you consult with some of your clients
Hmm.
that are not doing short term, do you recommend they get into the short term game, or it has to be the right, it has to be the right fit?
It has to be the right fit. I would never tell someone who has no expertise to join that. I mean, it has to be something that you're already dabbling in and you have enough knowledge
Maybe
to,
you own a couple yourself
maybe
personally.
you own a couple yourself. Then you can start playing in that field. But I wouldn't tell somebody that's new to property management to, oh, by the way, you should also open up an Airbnb branch. No, you shouldn't. No,
All
you
right,
shouldn't.
so we've talked about opportunities in 2023. We believe that property management firms, based on your assessment, that they're going to grow in 2023. It seems like that's kind of where you're leaning with all this, right?
Yeah, totally.
So, all right, so now I want to take advantage of those opportunities. So, what does it take to grow a PM business, a property management business?
Oh, okay. So, the first thing you could do is you just give me a call and I'll set it up for you. It'll be done. Over. Game over. Done. No,
Easy button. Click.
just hit the button, click my name. So
And I know
growth
we
is
can't
a
answer
struggle.
this in one podcast, and I
You
get that.
can't.
So, but just hit on maybe three or four like big
Yeah.
points, like what you would do if you were sitting and owning a property management firm. How would you grow it in 2023? How's that?
So consistency is key. When you create a program and you understand what your own niche is, you have to consistently perform at your niche and then let people know. So marketing can be expensive, but outbound calls are not. They are much less expensive than posting a billboard somewhere or getting on TV or putting Facebook ad pages wherever. The key to growth is just letting the people out there know what your niche is. So this is the great big secret in property management growth. This is the whole big secret right here, Pete. Guess what? Your clients are out there. The clients that you want as a property manager, they're next door. They're around you. They're right there, and they're self-managing. They are doing it themselves because they don't know that you exist. That's the secret. The secret is let
How
them
do I go
know.
about finding that client so that I can reach out to them, or that I can tell them like what, that this is my niche and you're the perfect fit?
Absolutely. So when you're talking or
I guess
when
the
you're
first thing
trying,
is make sure you define your target client.
yeah, make sure, yeah,
Understand.
there you go. Make sure you define what your target market is. And then there's tons of, lead
My
screening
old business
programs.
partner, Steve Rosenberg, he'd be like, well, the target is anybody who wants to own a house in the United States. I'm like, no,
There you
no,
go.
you need to define
Blanket
that a
target.
little bit more,
And,
right?
look, he'll fly to them. He'll fly
Yeah,
to them to get
yeah.
in front of them. And then he'll
So,
let them
but
know,
it's
like, look,
important.
I'm moving here myself.
So it's important to understand what is your niche is, what's the best that
Yeah,
that you do, and then define your target client so that you
correct.
can find them, which means it'd be less costly to find those people
Yeah, I will.
because you know exactly what you're looking for,
Mhm.
right?
And so then once you've defined that,
Mhm.
you go to any of these data sourcing websites. There's literally hundreds. I couldn't even drop a few without sounding silly, but I mean, because there's so many. But you can go and buy lead sources. All that is just scrubbed public data. I mean, all this is just public record. You go and you find public record. Who owns a property that they don't live in? Ta-da!
On average, what does that cost per contact on
I mean,
average?
it's I there are so many different companies out there
So
that I
there's
probably,
okay, so it's just wide range, a wide
yeah,
range,
I mean, you're
but it's
talking,
not
you're gonna
very
go spend,
costly, from my
no,
understanding.
you're gonna go spend a couple $100 and get
Okay,
1,000 leads. I mean, it's not expensive to do,
okay.
but the having the leads is, I mean, that's almost nothing. It's the actual getting in front of them. Like, you're not gonna grow just having the leads. Having leads does nothing to you if you don't reach out to them and call them. So then
Okay.
the step is understand your niche and make the calls. It's hard work. It's exhausting work. It's a lot of people hanging up in your face because who answers the phone to a number that they don't know? Nobody now.
Hardly
So
anybody. Yeah.
so you have to have a system in place. You have to have a foundation, some sort of program, some sort of, and I don't just mean a CRM. CRMs are invaluable, but you actually have to have a plan. And I mean, that's where RevUp comes in. That's the company that I'm with now. RevUp, we help you actually build a foundation to do that and an actual structure, because that's the
System.
key. Yeah, that's a system.
Right,
It
just like I need a system for my lease renewals and I need
yeah.
my onboarding system, I need a
Mhm.
sales system. And I think a lot of property management companies, they don't realize that you have to have a marketing system and a sales
Yeah.
system. And so,
Because it feels ethereal to them, right? Sales seems so woo-woo crazy. Oh, how do you sell? You have to have the gift of gab. No, you don't. No, you don't. It helps. I would be lying to say that it doesn't help, but
give us a kind of a high level example of a sales system, right? So
okay,
all right, so I get the lead. Okay,
got the
so I have a
leads.
lead, whether it came in through some kind of marketing activity or I bought a list, I have a
Mhm.
lead.
Yeah. So the one that I like the best, and so the one I'm going to preach about is having an outbound call person, a call setter. To me, that is more effective than trying to do it yourself, because property management is a time sink and you end up putting out fires and you don't make the calls,
Okay.
right? So
You have a
you've entered in,
specific personality profile that goes with that. I don't know if you're into disc
no.
or
So
I
biz
forget the
dev,
acronyms.
a business development manager does need to kind of have a right personality. Someone doing outbound calls, they just have to be kind of tough. That
Thick
helps.
skin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thick
I need to
skin
be part
helps.
alligator.
Exactly. But
I'm Italian, German, and alligator.
and and rhino
And
skin.
rhino,
You
rhino.
can't hurt me. Those help. Being part tank is helpful, but it's the kind of task that chews you up. So having training behind it, I mean, that's kind of where we step in, is we train those people to make sure that when they're making those calls, we can refresh. They don't get burnt out. They can actually have a warm answer to those calls. So that process looks like going through those leads in the whatever CRM system you use. And, you know, I'm kind of agnostic to that. I like them all. They're all helpful to some degree, but it is a touch point, and it is a continuous outreach program. That outbound outreach starts with call one, where the SDR, the COA, we actually client opportunity advisor is what
There
we
you go.
call
All right.
ours.
I was
So,
you almost I
all
was
right.
almost reach
So
out to get to that one.
COA is fun because they cover our assets. But COA is what we call our group of outbound advisors, because it's a client opportunity advisor. Every person in your lead system is a potential client, and just because they hung up in your face the first time you called them doesn't even mean that they're out of the sales the
Doesn't
sales
mean
cycle.
no.
It
Doesn't mean
doesn't.
no. It just means not right now, right?
A sales, exactly. A sales cycle is from introduction of them as a lead until they've made a decision to buy with you or not. They are always in that tracking
Interesting.
somewhere, because it all it takes is the right opportunity of, oh, well, I inherited some money. Even if they say, oh, I'm a renter. Well, what happens if they inherit a house and some money and whatever else? Now they're a property management potential client. So if you drop them off of your system, that's not great.
So
So
you
you
even
got to keep
create
them.
you even create drip campaigns for your residents then, huh?
Yeah, we do.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Never
The,
did
the
that
the
before.
idea is everyone is potentially a client for us.
I like it.
And so it is getting in front of them, having them actually answer the phone and have a conversation with you is step one. So that's how you have to get out to these people. And it's
But going
letting
back to the
them,
target, getting the right target
yeah,
increases your chances of closure node. Yes.
absolutely. Yeah, it totally does. I mean, that's where the lead systems come into play. Like
Right.
that's
Okay.
buying the right leads. But if you've bought the right leads, great. That's step one. Then you've hired someone to make those calls for you, a COA from RevUp. Great call. Way to go. And then it is having the coaching and the help to make sure that those calls, every opportunity that they're on the phone, that it's the most effective way to handle that. You're going to have people that are going to answer the phone and yell and scream and cuss at you. How'd you get my number? Why are you calling me? You're interrupting my kid's birthday party. Great. Hey, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt your day, but yes, this is a cold call. Do you mind if I talk with you about this situation? It's public record. That's why I'm calling you, is because my information tells me you might be a really good fit for what
Right.
I have to offer. Can we just have a conversation about it? And that's the mentality that makes the growth exponential, because maybe they fit with you today. Maybe they don't. Maybe they fit with you in 3 months. Maybe they fit with you in 3 years. But if you don't have a way to determine where they fall in that sales cycle, and then a plan for once you've identified where they fit, well, what's your plan? If they tell you, well, I'm not going to buy real estate for 10 years. Cool. Well, you need to have a plan to reach back out to them in 10 years with the right information and the right kind of handholding to say, hey, we talked 10 years ago. And if you've only talked to them once in that 10 years, you're messing up. You have to have an outreach program that works
Right.
for that full-time year, or that full 10-year time period. And then at that 10-year time period, hey, we talked about you buying properties.
So there's two things you
Ready to
put
do it?
out there that you kind of glanced over that are pure gold.
Right.
Number one is everybody you come in contact with should go into your CRM system.
Everyone.
Right. So that right there, it should be a game changer for some of you that are listening, because a lot of you don't put in certain people like residents into your drips.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is every person that goes into your CRM should be classified some way, and you should have some type of, you call it a system, I'll call it a drip system.
Yeah.
Right. That to have the right information be in front of them for that particular instance.
Yeah, of course. Like, so if you want to take that down and then distill it to an actual conversation, imagine if you're talking with someone who is telling you they are having problems with placing a tenant, and yet you spend the entire time talking about how your maintenance system is great. That doesn't connect, right?
Right. Yep. Okay. Yep. I
So
get it.
when you are talking to these potential clients, because everyone is, you have to identify where
Your pain
they
point.
fit. What is the information that I could get to them where they see me as an expert in their pain point?
Yep.
That's
Think about it. That's what the social media platforms do so well, especially Facebook, right? I do one search for, let's just say, sports bra to buy my wife.
Mhm.
Even though I'm a male, I get ads for sports bras all the time now because, I made that search, but they realized like that was something that he was searching for. And you make a great point. If I'm a landlord and I have challenges with maintenance and you keep talking about,
Lease placement.
the applications and lease placement, it's a disconnect.
Yeah. Well, like you stop listening. Why would, hey, I'm having an issue with my maintenance, programs. I can't get a general contractor over there to finish a program. And then my tenants are always mad at me about this. Well, let me tell you about how we place the best tenants in the country. Like I'm done listening to you at that point. I'm not hearing. You could tell me that you're going to find the best tenant on the planet. I'm not even going to hear it because it has nothing to do with anything that I've said. You're not actively listening. You're not following up with my pain points. You're just rolling over me to tell me about something that I don't frankly care about. How do you,
Man, I can talk. I know you and I, we're both talkers, and we could literally talk about this
we really could.
For hours on end. But in the interest of time, we're going to cut to a commercial break, and then we're going to come back for the. That's the lightning round.
Oh, all right.
Lightning round. All right, we'll be right back, everybody. Welcome back, everybody. All right, Jonathan Cook, are you ready for the lightning round?
Ready.
I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I'm going to ask you a series of questions, whatever comes to your mind. If you want to expand on it, we're going to let you, but whatever comes to your mind, they're supposed to be kind of quick questions here. All right.
Perfect.
What is one thing most people do not know about you?
Oh, Lord. That I played football in high school.
I would have went with the 4 kids, but okay.
Everybody knows I have 4 kids.
That's true. All right. Football in high school, huh? Nice.
Yeah.
What Marvel character or DC character do you most associate with?
Oh, Captain America. He's so pure.
What is your ideal vacation?
Oh, fishing at the beach.
What is one piece of advice you'd give someone just starting out in the PM business?
Oh, join NARPM.
Does pineapple belong on pizza?
All right. It can. I'm indifferent. It's fine. I'm not going to be mad at anybody for eating pineapple on their pizza. Am I going to eat pineapple on my pizza? Absolutely not.
So it does not belong on pizza, and I concur. What book are you currently reading, or what is a book that has impacted your business or life?
Oh, okay. So, oh my goodness. You could always just say anything Kiyosaki as written is great. That probably is, Rich Dad, Poor Dad probably influenced me more than anything. And I'm always reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad because
the Bible for real estate investors.
Well, you use it like a Bible. I mean, I've got a lot of other ones that I'm reading to kind of associate with different parts of the industry, but Rich Dad Poor Dad is the thing that you always go back to sit there and make sure that you're not losing your mind.
Other than a NARPM podcast, what's another podcast that you like? Doesn't have to be business related, could be whatever. Just any other podcast that you would recommend.
Okay. So Some More News is a really good one.
Some More News. Okay.
Now it's a little bit, it's going to be a little bit leftist for a lot of our pals, but it's a good introduction into the mindset of a concerned millennial. How about that?
All right. I like it. As a Gen X guy, probably not for me, but whatever.
It might not be
for that one. What is one challenge you are currently facing in your business?
Oh, time, man, time. Finding the time to not just have the consultation calls, but it's the admin afterwards. It's when you're back to back to back to back with consulting calls. It's tough to stop.
Sounds like you need a remote team member to be your admin.
Yeah, I mean that's so invaluable. Can someone please just type up my notes and put them into the system for me? That would be worth its weight in gold.
What do you prefer, cats or dogs?
Dogs.
All right. You've passed the lightning round, Jonathan.
Thank God.
All right. So if somebody wanted to get in touch with you or loved what you had to say and want to get a consultation or just reach out, how's the best way they can contact you?
So you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or Facebook. I'm pretty active on both. You can email me at jonathan@revupmastery.com, and I spell my name Jonathan because apparently there's 50 different ways to spell my name.
There is.
But you can reach out to me on any of those platforms. I'm usually pretty responsive on LinkedIn and Facebook. On email, that's going to pop up and interrupt anything that I'm doing. So I'm really, really pretty apt to answer that relatively quick.
If you are not a NARPM member,
Mhm.
would like to join, please go to NARPM, narpm.org, and you can sign up right there or give the good folks a call at 800-782-3452. And if you are looking for remote team members, maybe you need a maintenance coordinator, a leasing assistant, or a sales associate or sales assistant, or a call. What do you call them? A COA?
COA,
You can go to
Client Opportunity Advice Center.
vpmsolutions.com. VPM, Virtual Property Management, vpmsolutions.com. Thank you everybody for listening, and appreciate you, and we'll see you next time. Peace
Thank
out.
you.